So we'll need a few things for framing. We'll need a backer board and of course your picture, a frame, and then I'll have a list at the end here with all of our tools that we'll need. And also, of course, your frame choice is an 8x10 for this particular one, but you can use any size and do the same thing. And then there are a few different tapes that you'll need as well. So let's get started here with our matting. What we want to do is first just kind of adjust where our picture is going to go, and I've got this perfectly set into an 8x10 mat, and then I have some artist tape, and what I'm going to do with this is just kind of peel off just a couple little pieces here, and I'm going to fold this underneath. I'm going to tuck it in under here and just give it a little tab so I can get that stuck down onto my backer board. I'm going to do the other side as well. Now, this is one of the toughest things to do because you've got to try to line this up with your mats and your backing. So you just need to adjust wherever you need to. I want to get that, I think that's pretty straight, and then just match up and make sure that your mat will fit over the top of that. Alright, so now we're just going to set that aside, and I'm going to grab the mat again, and we're going to use some double-sided sticky tape, and we're going to tape this mat down to the backer board. And this way it's not going to actually stick to the painting itself. We'll just have it on the edges of the mat, so if anybody ever wanted to change these out, they can easily do so without damaging the painting. So make sure it's all taped down there real good, and then we're just going to peel off that back edge of the double-sided tape on each side. Careful not to lift any of the sticky tape. We want to keep that down there. And sometimes they're hard to grab the little edges of these. Just going to get your nail into there and pull. So you can see where the tape is a little shiny here. We're going to grab the backer board again, and we're just going to line that up. And be careful here because once you put it down, it will stick and you can't adjust it. So get it right where you want it, and then you can push it down when you're happy with where it's at. Alright, so what I'm going to do next, since we have our matting all ready to go, we're just going to clean our glass on our frame really good. Make sure you get all the little corners and edges, and you just don't want to have little streaks or little fingerprints, thumbprints, all that good stuff once you get this all together. So I'm always double checking before I do my final seals here. And I'm going to flip it over, get the other side as well. Make sure you get your edges. And you can use really any kind of glass cleaner with this. Double check, get the other side as well. One last before I place it inside, and I'm just double checking for little smears. So I'll bring my frame over and we'll pop the glass right back in here. And again, just double check, get the rest of those, because once the backing's all done and sealed up, you cannot take it apart again to fix these smudges without having to start over. So I'm just going to take our painting and I'm flipping it over and adjusting it in here. And you can see I have little tabs on this one, so I'm just kind of pushing them down. Again, double checking, making sure there's no little hairs or fuzzes or who knows what gets in there. So it looks good. So now I'm just going to flip it over and I'm going to push down the little tabs. Now if this hurts your fingers, what I've done before is got myself a little butter knife, or you can use a flathead screwdriver just to help push those down. And again, I'm checking to make sure everything's clean in there and it looks good. So now we're going to start with our backing, and this is just a linen acid-free backing. You can get these usually at any stores, any craft stores or art supply stores. And they usually come in rolls. And again, we're going to use our double-sided sticky tape here. And I'm just going to put the double-sided sticky tape down on the back of the frame, and I'm trying to give myself a little 1/4 inch away from the edges, and this is for when I actually do the trimming or the cutting, and you'll see that coming up here. So we're going to put that tape down on all four sides. I've got a little overhang there, but we can trim that up in a few minutes. And the last one here, and make sure those are pushed down nice and tight on there because you don't want that to come loose on you. And these little tabs, I'm going to just kind of trim these off here. A little pair of scissors and just snip those. A couple other little ones on the corners here, you can get those. All right, and now we're going to pull off the tape once again here. One more, trim that one up. And just making sure those are down nice and tight. And I'm going to peel that layer of the tape off once again. Again, they're sometimes a little hard to get going, but once you get your little nail into there, you can kind of pull it out. You're just going to pull off each one of these. Again, making sure that you don't pull up the tape as you're peeling off that top layer. All right, I'm going to grab this last little piece here and pull that off, and then I'm going to take my roll of dust cover paper, and I'm going to be very careful here. I don't want to touch the tape yet, so I'm just going to kind of pull this on over the top here without touching it, being very careful, and then I'm going to lay that down on top here and very carefully make sure it's nice and smooth. Kind of pull that a little tight, and then I'm just going to push down on this tape on all four corners here. Make sure we've got that on there really good, and then I'm just going to take and crease all four edges here, and this will make it easier when we go to do our trimming with our cutter. Make sure you have a nice sharp clean edge here, and then we're going to just take off this excess here with some scissors. Just cut the top of this right off. Alright, so we're not going to throw that away, we're going to save that piece for a minute, and I'm just going to once again just kind of tighten up these edges and make sure that they're nice and sharp and clean. This will make it a lot easier with our cutting tool. So we're ready for our cutting tool, and these can be again purchased anywhere. I got this one I think on Amazon, and it's got a little blade on it. And you just have to be very careful when you line it up here. You're just going to kind of push down on that blade. Watch out for your fingers. I'm dangerous with these things. And just kind of give it a little bit of light pressure, and it will cut right through that. And you're going to do this on all four sides. See, I skipped it a couple spots here, but you can just kind of go back and kind of clean that up again. Just right back over it. Yeah, just make sure that that's down again, nice and tight on the tape, and just pull that all the way down. That's our last cut, so now we're just going to peel it off. It should come off very easy for you. The tape shouldn't be underneath where that is if you've put it close enough to the inside edge. So that gives it a nice clean look. So once again, I'm just double checking, making sure it looks good, make sure that tape is on there real well. It's nice and taped down, and we're going to move on to our little hooks. And we're going to, this wrong way, I'm going to flip it around, there we go. We're going to just put these in about 2 inches or so. I'm just going to kind of line up, eyeball them. I think they look good there. So I'm going to get my little ruler here and come down 2 inches. And just make myself a mark right here with a pencil, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Come down 2 inches and make myself a little circle, and this is where those little eyelet holes are going to line up for me, so I can Get my screws in there on both sides and make sure that they're nice and even. And so I have little screws that come with it, and I'm going to grab my drill here. Makes it much easier. You can use a screwdriver, but I highly recommend a power tool. So just get that in there, and we're just going to drill those down in there. Give it a little pressure if it's not getting in there real well. Sometimes some of the woods for the frames are a little harder than others. And I'm just going to adjust this down just a little bit as it moved on me. And then we're going to go ahead and do the same thing for the other side here. Alright, let me adjust this again. It keeps moving on me. And we'll get this one screwed in there too. We can get it. There we go. Okay. So those are both in there nice and tight. I'm just kind of pulling and make sure they're good. And now we'll be ready to put some hanging wire on here. And I'm just using this is a soft strand, which has like a plastic coating around it, so you don't prick your fingers while you're trying to do these. So I'm just gonna measure up just enough on each side so I have a little extra, so I'll be able to wrap these around. And I'm going to cut this using a wire cutter. These things are great. It's a little Leatherman that I've been borrowing from my husband. It works so much better than what I had been using before. So we're just going to slide these through on both ends, and I'm going to tighten it up, try to get it as even as I can on both sides. And just pull that nice and taut. And what we're going to do from here is start with one side, and we're going to make a loop and tie a little knot in here. And then pull tight, and then we're just going to wrap this around and keep it going all the way around here. And try and getting it as tight as I can by looping it. This doesn't want to stay in here. And keep going around, and you're going to just take this all the way up. If you have too much wire hanging out the end, you can always shorten this a little bit if you need to. I think we've got a pretty good amount here. The other side doesn't want to stay in, so we're just going to work with what we got here. So just kind of tighten it up around and push it down in, and then we're going to do the other side here. So again, slide it through, and you're going to tighten it, and you're going to make a little knot here. And this is a very light frame, so you could always double knot it at the other end as well. But this isn't a real heavy frame, so this will be fine. So we're just going to again wrap the stainless wire around all the way. Keep going with it. And again, feel free if you need to trim some off, but just give yourself enough loops around here so that it has some strength to it. And you're just going to continue to wrap that right around. And you'll find that with some of the bigger frames, if you want to leave yourself a little extra wire, you can do that, because these could be adjusted if they need to be. If you have it too high or too low, or you need to adjust for your nail, you can do that. So I also have some stickers here, and these are stickers I had printed up at my local printer, and I'm just going to put those on there. And then also with that extra piece of backing that we have, I'm just going to cut a little square off here, a little rectangle, and this just makes a nice presentation. If you're giving this away as a gift to someone, you can add a little nail and a little hanger to it, and that way when they get home with it, they can just pop it right into the wall and hang it right up. So I just put those in the middle, and I just kind of wrap it up a couple of times, make like a little envelope shape for it. And then we're going to just take this and we're going to just wrap it around the wire, and then I'll take some masking tape and I'll just attach it right to the backing wire here. I'll just fold this over and then we'll grab some tape. That way it won't fall off. Just tape this up around here. And they are ready to go hang it. Then one last little final touch would be, I have these little rubber silicone self-sticking, self-adhesive, and I'll just pop those on the bottom corners of each one of these, and this just helps if you have something leans against the wall and it won't scratch your wall. It gives it a nice little soft surface, and they have little felt ones of these as well. And push down hard on those, and there you have it, professionally framed. Voila! You're ready to hang on the wall.